So why don't you say we just jump into your live questions? And holy moly, there have been a lot of live questions here. So let's jump in and start talking about what you want to talk about.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Sending in live questions and comments all show long. So let's jump in and take some of these now. Matthew Wiles, I called you out by name earlier. So you said, I hate that this is happening to cinemas, but I think Disney will say the same as Warner Brothers. Yep. Yes, they will. Disney will, Paramount will. What are all the other? Here's the thing about like some of the studios that don't have their own streaming platforms. Let's talk about Legendary. Let's talk about A23. Let's talk about Blumhouse. These are studios that don't have their own streaming platforms. So what are they going to do? They're going to be pigeonholed. Do you remember the whole Paramount decrees? The Paramount decrees prevented studios from having a monopoly on film distribution. It prevented them from having that monopoly, right? And also creating these bundle deal packages. Yes, I mean, like, oh, you want to show Dune, a Warner Brothers, let's say Wonder Woman. You want to show Wonder Woman in a Disney theater? Okay, you can do that, but at a higher premium, and you're really going to pay for it. Or we're going to keep the vast majority of profits, and you're going to get a tiny, tiny little profit there. And then another thing that could happen is, yeah, Disney will show your movie. Or rather, how about this? If Disney wants Frozen 3, let's just say Frozen 3 is coming out. So Frozen 3 is going to be shown in a Warner Brothers theater, but because Disney is such a powerhouse, they're going to force themselves on to Warner Brothers and say, okay, yeah, you can have Frozen 3, but guess what? You're also going to take Wreck-It Ralph 3. You're also going to take Cars 5. You're going to take all the smaller properties. You're going to get all the Mickey Mouse shorts. You have to show the shorts. If you don't show the shorts, then the whole deal is null and void. And so it prevents like packaging, like all that stuff. And now, 100 years later, I guess it's like 90-ish years later, here we are in a very similar situation, but instead of movie theaters, we have streaming platforms. So now Legendary Pictures, a studio that doesn't have their own streaming platform, they have to cut deals with Warner Brothers. They have to cut deals with Amazon Prime. They have to cut deals with Netflix. Because in order to stay in business, that's what they have to do. Because, they won't have their own streaming unless they create their own streaming platform, which then will be problematic for the market. I already pay, I calculated everything up. I pay roughly about $60, $70 a month in my streaming services. I do. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. And if Legendary comes out with one, and if A23 comes out with one, and if Blumhouse comes out with one, and if Lionsgate comes out with one, these are all other streaming services that I'm going to have to pay for. Gonna have to, take that for what it's worth. Matthew Wiles says, the release schedule alone will hurt cinemas, even if cinemas were even open. Yeah. Well, because you have a new movie coming out every 3 weeks. And let's just say that, like Regal, let's take Regal, or because Matthew, you're in the UK. So Cineworld is shut down. Regal in Cineworld, they are shut down. So it's easy for Warner Media to say, hey, we're coming out with a movie in cinemas the same day that they're coming out on HBO Max. But guess what? In the UK, you don't get HBO Max. So where are you going to be able to go see Wonder Woman? Oh, you can go to the theaters? Well, guess what? Cineworld is now shut down. Okay, well, it's coming out in AMC theaters in the UK. But let's just say that, the nearest AMC theater in the UK is in Manchester. You're not going to drive from Leeds to Manchester maybe you will. I don't know. But first and foremost, maybe you don't have an AMC theater in Leeds. I don't know, maybe you do, but let's just say you don't. I know for a fact that there is an AMC theater in Manchester. So you're not going to drive from Leeds to Manchester just to see Wonder Woman 84. And even if you were in a non-COVID world, would you? Because of COVID? I mean, like I said, I feel fine about going back to the movie theaters as long as you can do it safely, as long as it's not overcrowded, and you can keep that massive social distance, more than 6 feet in between you and the next person closest to you. More than 6 feet. Alcohol spray, everything. Keep your hands clean. Keep your station sanitized. Yeah, it's massively going to hurt cinemas. Matthew says, annoyingly, you will be able to see Wonder Woman 6 months before me, potentially. How am I going to avoid spoilers for nearly a year? It will suck. Sky has to do something for us Brits. I mean, like I said, they may. I mean, traditionally, up until maybe Avengers Endgame, the first Avengers movie kind of changed everything in terms of U.S. releases versus global releases. The first Avengers movie in 2012 was the first film, I believe, somebody can please fact check me on this, to come out internationally before it came out domestically in the United States. And it generated so much buzz internationally that it helped ticket sales in the United States, and it became extremely profitable. That was a genius marketing tactic. But up until then, yeah, movies would come out in the United States 3 to 6 months before they came out anywhere else internationally. So, I mean, in this situation, we may be reverting back to that business model. I don't know. Matthew says, it's not just that we are social people, although I will never forget watching Endgame and 5 girls bawling their eyes out at Tony Stark's death. But some movies are made for the big screen that even my 55-inch TV can't give me. You are 1,000% correct. You're 1,000% correct. There are movies that have been released on Disney Plus, like Mulan. A lot of people were saying, yeah, this would have been so much better on the big screen. I don't know if it would have been. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It seemed like a smaller movie to me. It didn't seem like a big budget theatrical movie release, movie theater experience kind of movie. And even Kim and I just watched Godmothered last night on Disney Plus about, kind of like fairy tale godmother. She comes to Boston to help this, girl, but whatever. It's a cute movie. It's a stupid movie. It was dumb. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I don't think I ever need to watch it again. But, if you've seen the movie Enchanted, it was Enchanted, but with a fairy godmother instead of a fairy tale princess. Anyway, but that kind of movie didn't feel like it was made for a theatrical experience. It felt like it was a smaller kind of made for TV movie, which is what streaming films are now starting to become. And that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that there is going to be, because you are losing the grandeur of, take The Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, was specifically designed, that movie was specifically designed and created for a theatrical experience. It was filmed in 70 millimeter, which people don't do anymore. That's like ultra widescreen. And you're not going to get the same effect on your computer screen, even on your home television screen. Even if you have one of the larger TVs, like a 65-inch or a 75-inch. 75-inch is a massive in-home television. It's huge. But for the 70 millimeter viewing experience, you're not going to get that same level of clarity and viewpoints and view angles than you would in the theater. You're exactly right, Matthew. Some movies are designed to be watched in a movie theater. Tenet is designed to be watched in a movie theater. You're not going to get the same experience out of Tenet at home than you would in a theater. It's just, you're not. So I'm concerned that moving forward, knowing that you're not going to get the same experience in home viewing than you normally would in a theater, I'm concerned that some of these studios know this and will take their budget down, which taking your budget down anyway to help save costs in filmmaking, I think is extremely necessary. But there are ways to get the grandeur of a Hateful Eight or a Jurassic Park or an Avengers Endgame or whatever without spending $250 million. And I'm concerned that by taking down the budgets of some of these films, that the quality is going to go down, that it's going to feel like a made-for-TV movie, that it's going to feel like a made-for-streaming movie. And many of them will be. Many of them will be made for streaming. I just hope it doesn't feel that way. I don't know. Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. Megan Miles, how are you? Megan Miles says, yeah, I gotta say, it's a bit sad. I worked at the Alamo Draft House in Brooklyn as a server. I used to make really good money. That is so sad for cinemas because they are already struggling to keep afloat. Even when I was working, my schedule came out super last minute because we had to wait on the studios to release what movies we were getting. I hope that it's safe. People will return to the theater. Yeah, I agree. Like, we're social people. When this whole COVID stuff is over and said and done with, theaters, I think, will have a small resurgence. But with all of this streaming content between HBO Max, between Disney Plus, between Apple TV Plus, between Paramount Plus, between Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? People are going to continue to watch their movies at home because we're lazy. Here's the thing. We want the highest quality. We want to get as much as we can, as lazy as we can, right? Look at a dishwasher. That's the whole purpose of a dishwasher. You don't wash your dishes. You put your dirty dishes in this machine and then let it do the work for you. It can wash so much faster and so much more efficiently than you can doing it by hand. And you don't have to worry about your expensive plate slipping through your hands and smashing on the floor because of your soapy fingers, right? Everything that we do is designed to make life easier. And streaming does that. You don't have to go anywhere. You can stay in your home. Now, for a family like, if your situation is at all like what my family situation is, I'm not going to get into super details, but there is a part of my family that they don't get to go out all that often. And I'm not talking about like in a COVID world. I mean, just normally. In 2019, there's been a certain portion of my family that just can't go to the movie theaters for this reason or that reason. And they've kind of been homebound for a while. So COVID is kind of perfect for them because now it gives them a reason to never leave their home. So stuff like this is good for them because they don't have to miss out on these opportunities to see these movies, to see these films, and be part of the discussion. But if you're a massive film fan like me, or like Megan, who earns her money as a server at Alamo Draft House in Brooklyn, you know, the landscape is changing, you guys. The landscape is changing massively. Ian Martin says, I think that theaters will embrace a subscription-based membership. Before COVID, I paid $14.99 a month and could see 3 movies a month. They made money off of me as I have to get popcorn. The devaluing of a ticket price is not a bad thing for consumers. Oh, okay. So there's a few things going on here. Yes, I had the AMC A list. I don't know if that was the same membership that you belong to, Ian, but yeah, I belong to AMC A list, and that was a wonderful subscription thing. If a theater chain has a subscription plan already set up, like AMC A list, Regal had one set up as well. I believe there's like a couple others. In the UK, they have better subscription plans than we do in the US. After COVID is over and it's like known that it's safe to go back into the water again, I believe that movie theaters will see a resurgence of people returning to the movie theater. That's my personal belief. The question is, how many movie theaters will actually survive this? How many will get through it? Because we're looking at another year, at least. We're looking at another year of this stuff, at least. So what is going to be around, is the big question. And also, with HBO Max not having to... Because again, there's no contract that says Wonder Woman has to come out in a movie theater. I mean, like, they've already made that agreement. And they've already said that, Suicide Squad, which is coming out like later next year. But let's move forward to 2022. Let's talk about The Batman with Robert Pattinson. Is there a deal in place already that says that The Batman with Robert Pattinson must have a theatrical release? I don't know. Maybe not. So what happens if The Batman is solely released on HBO Max? What happens? I mean, sure, maybe they're not eligible for the Oscars, which I'm sure they would be. I don't know. It's... again, like I keep saying, we've been saying in the negative for so long, what is impossible yesterday suddenly becomes possible today. So who knows? I mean, that could change. That may not change. Ian Martin goes on to say, I'm curious how many folks would see Wonder Woman in the theaters versus HBO Max if COVID wasn't a thing. Well, first of all, if COVID wasn't a thing, we would not be finding ourselves in this situation. I mean, maybe in 5 years we would, because we know that COVID has accelerated everyone's plans. Like Warner Media has come out directly and said like they are accelerating their plans as a result of COVID. Same thing with Disney Plus, They are accelerating their plans. But again, semantics. I understand the spirit of what you're saying here. How many folks would see Wonder Woman in theaters versus on HBO Max if COVID wasn't a thing? I would still say, because, okay, this is, so there's a YouTuber named Chris Stuckman. He does movie reviews. And when this news became an announcement, when this news became news, he did an editorial on his YouTube channel. And one of the things that he talked about is, in a lot of movie theaters, you get like your passive moviegoers, people who are on their phones, people who are talking, people who aren't really paying attention, people who are causing a nuisance to everyone else in the theater. I mean, yes, a lot of people are there to watch the movie, but even if you are there to watch the movie, there's a lot of moviegoers who just want to see the movie. They don't need the theatrical experience. I am one of those people that need the theatrical experience. I think a lot of people understand the value of the theatrical experience, but I don't think a lot of people need the theatrical experience. They just want to see the movie, right? So how many people would see Wonder Woman in theaters versus HBO Max if COVID wasn't a thing? I think more than we think. He goes on to say, if I had the choice to see it streamed or in the theater, I would still choose to pay to see it on the big screen. The only reason I am not is that I will not go to a theater in the pandemic. And that's fair. That is completely valid. I don't want anybody to do anything that they don't feel comfortable doing. I feel comfortable going back to the theaters. I have said this multiple times. I've done it. I've been back to the theaters 4 times. Twice in Orlando, twice in New Jersey. And I feel that I can do it safely. If you actually look to see who's in the theater when you're booking your ticket, like social distance, stay away from everybody, sanitize everything. The movie theaters have changed out their filtration systems. I feel safe. I feel fine going back to the movie theaters, but I understand a lot of people don't, which is why they're empty right now. That's why nobody's going to the movie theaters, because so many people do not feel comfortable being in that environment. I get it. I get it. I commend you for that. Matthew Weil says, in replying to Ian, I would want to go to the cinema for this one, but I would have the option to stay in. But I would have the option to stay in if I didn't have a babysitter. For the cinemas for this one, but I would have the option to stay in if I didn't have a babysitter. Okay, yeah, exactly. If you have it streaming on HBO Max and you don't have a babysitter, watch it on HBO Max, you know? Because again, getting that childcare is another huge thing. I was previously talking about a portion of my family that just doesn't go out anymore. Not even in a COVID world, but I mean, COVID, yes, has exacerbated the whole thing. But even before COVID, they didn't really go out because circumstances make it such. And if you don't have a babysitter, guess what? You're not going out. And now in a COVID world, getting a babysitter, I would imagine, I don't have kids myself, but getting a babysitter, I would imagine, is so much more difficult. Nobody wants to be exposed. Nobody wants to keep sharing and spreading these germs. I get it. Matthew Weil says, I would go to the cinema to watch these. I reckon less than 30% would return even with the vaccine. In time, I think a lot of people would return because again, we're social creatures. We need that social experience. And I know for a fact there are a ton of people who are yearning so bad to go back to the movie theaters. Again, when I work on the airplane as a flight attendant, I talk movies because this is what I do. I love movies. I love the theater going experience. I miss movies. And movies are a thing that connect everyone. And it's an easy way for me to have a connection with another human being and say, hey, what's your favorite movie? For me, it's Jurassic Park. What's your favorite movie? Let's talk about that. Why do you love that so much? Oh, that's a great, right? And we get to have this dialogue. We get to have a human connection. You know what else makes human connections? Having group experiences. Even if you experience something on the other side of the world than I do, we're still having an experience. Let's just say Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is at the root of our shared experience. Granted, we didn't do it together, but we have shared experience by A, seeing the movie, B, loving the movie, and C, having this experience of going to a place. There's intrinsically something special and valuable about seeking after a thing. Right? Take shopping, for example. Right now, everybody's Christmas shopping because Christmas season is in the air. A lot of people are doing their shopping online. So it robs you of the specialness, I guess. Let's just say you want to buy a picture frame on from wherever. You really want to put like a photo of yourself in a picture frame and give it to your grandmother. That's your gift. Is it more meaningful to buy it on Amazon, or is it more meaningful to go out, to a picture frame maker and pick out which picture frame you want and handcraft it and see the process and know that this is something that is tailor-made for this person, as opposed to just, there you go, right? So it's these shared experiences that I think we seek after and that we need to survive as human beings, because we are social creatures. How many people do not want to quarantine? Everybody. Nobody wants to quarantine because we're social creatures. We need to get out and need to have these shared experiences. And movie theaters are just another version of shared experiences. That's it. Movie theaters are another version of shared experiences. And you say, I reckon less than 30% would even return with the vaccine. A, that depends on the vaccine. And B, well, when I say it depends on the vaccine, it needs to be proven, right? It's already been tested. It's already been proven behind closed doors, but now it needs to be proven out in the public, right? So once people start getting it, and if the results turn out that, hey, this actually works the way that they say it works with very little to no side effects, and then more people are going to get the vaccine, we will start returning to our normal life, as maybe not as we knew it, but as close as we can get it, right? So I think more than 30% will return. Ian Martin says, Matthew, excellent point. This is in reference to his to Matthew saying, I would go to the cinema for this one with the whole babysitter thing, right? Ian says, Matthew, excellent point. I am single, and there are few things I enjoy more than movies. My only true barriers are cost and time. I do not think I am representative of the general moviegoer. You might be selling yourself short, because I've been in that boat for a long time as well, Ian. And I think there are a lot of people that that cost and time have been the only barriers. I mean, yes, babysitters and your situation, that kind of stuff. That all applies, yes, but yeah, don't sell yourself short there. Matthew Weil says, I think cinemas need to hold on to 2022 to get the same amount of people. If Disney and Apple do the same as HBO Max, then that's the cinemas dead. Yeah, well, again, we'll have to wait and see. I still think even with all of these movies coming out, it's going to be a very different landscape. It'll be a very different landscape because movie theaters will have to take a larger cut of the box office to stay afloat. They just will. And I don't think that companies like Disney or HBO Max or Warner Media, I don't think that they're going to have a huge problem with them taking a larger cut because they need to. And it's also what's contractually already been agreed upon. I think it also depends on what everyone's reaction to HBO Max is going to be. We don't know we know roughly how many subscribers HBO Max currently has. I know Disney Plus they currently have 74 million subscribers. So they have 74 million subscribers. HBO Max is about half of that. They're about 40. They're around 40 million subscribers right now. The question is, how many more subscribers are they going to get throughout 2021? How many more? They might get a lot more. In fact, I know they're going to get a lot more. There's a very good chance that by the end of 2021, they will hit 100,000 subscribers. Easy. Disney will probably be over 100,000 by the end of 2021. Fairly certain, especially with all the Marvel television shows coming out. They will be well over 100,000 by the end of 2021. So with that revenue coming in, and they own their own content, and they don't have to pay licensing fees, they can get away with having the theaters take a larger chunk of the box office. They can get away with that. But, yeah, I don't know. 2022 is going to be an interesting thing because, again, HBO Max said, oh, this is a 1-year thing. Oh, we're just testing this out for 1 year. Bull pucky it is. They're testing it out to make sure this is a sustainable business model moving forward. Bull pucky. I don't believe that for a second. Matthew Weil says, before kids, me and the wife would go 2 to 3 times a week. Now we cherry pick, but haven't been but haven't been all year. So very sad. I understand, man. Like, everybody is in the same boat together, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Trent Rogers from Oil City, Pennsylvania. Trent Rogers says classic theater experience seems like an unsustainable business model in today's society. Mm-hmm. What do you think they'd have to change to get people into seats? So question number one. Question number two is, do you think if 3D movies would have really caught on, the theaters wouldn't be struggling as much since the tech isn't the most accessible? Oh, okay. So two questions. Would 3D have saved movie theaters? It's a question that almost kind of doesn't matter, right? Because there's no model to support evidence on either side of the coin. So would 3D have killed movie theaters, or would 3D have saved movie theaters? It's something that didn't happen. So it's a complete hypothetical. Is it possible that 3D could have? Yeah, it's possible. I don't think it would. Very likely, though. Because again, it's anytime that you introduce a gimmick into a pre-established, let's look at Oreo cookies. The most successful Oreo cookie is just the plain basic Oreo cookie. The second most successful Oreo cookie is the plain basic double stuff Oreo cookie, because you get the cream, but just a little bit more. Those are the most popular. Even the mega stuff, I think it's like 4 times the cream. People don't need that much cream. People buy it because it's available, but it's not the most popular type of Oreo. Just the regular plain Oreo, like the chocolate cookie with a little bit of cream and another chocolate cookie. That's what most people buy. And I would even argue the double stuff. Those are the 2 most popular. The orange cream filling, the pick your own color thing, the Oreo fudge dip. All of those things are gimmicks. They come and go. Even the mega stuff with the 4 times cream, that's seasonal at best. That's seasonal. They don't keep that in stock year round. Not like they do regular Oreos and the double stuff. So anytime you introduce a gimmick into a pre-existing product, like 3D into movie theaters, yeah, everybody wants to try it, but it's not all that sustainable. That's why AMC theaters have started converting their cinemas into like the Dolby Atmos theater. You have a 4K screen. It's the regular, normal, plain experience that you've always known, but with just a little bit more comfort. You know, a reclining seat does not change your visually. It's not the gimmick that changes the theater going experience. 3D changes the theater going experience. 4D, Regal's 4D cinemas. I hate those things. I saw the Lego Batman movie in 4D, and that was terrible. Like, I hated that experience. 30 minutes in, I was like, okay, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm cold because I have all this wind blowing on me, because it's wind blowing in the movie. Hey, somebody's flying in the air. Wind blowing on me. Oh, Batman gets sprayed with water. Psh, I get water sprayed. I don't want that. I don't need that. No thanks. I want a beautiful picture. I want a comfortable seat, and now I want a clean environment. That's what I need. So, do I think that 3D movies, but again, it's contingent on what you say. If they had caught on, would theaters be struggling as much? Yeah, I mean, they would. Theaters would still be struggling. 3D, I don't think would have saved theaters. But you also ask, what do I think that movie theaters would have to change to get people into seats? Well, right now, there's not a lot that they can do. I mean, they've implemented new cleaning procedures and policies and all that, and practices. But here's the thing, you guys. This is what I've been saying about, like, especially organizations like the NSA. Everyone is so concerned. Oh, the NSA is listening to our conversation. Oh, they know what we're talking about. Oh, no, don't say the wrong thing or the NSA is going to do blah, blah. Nobody cares about their job that much. I mean, yeah, some people do because that's their identity. But most people identify as a human being, as they take care of their family. That's their world. That's the world that they live in. Their work is just their job. And yes, I understand. There are a lot of people out there that their work, their career is their life. I'm a flight attendant. I work with a ton of people that being a flight attendant is the only thing that they care about. They don't do well in relationships. As Lego Batman once said, I don't do ships, relationships. They don't do ships, Their work is their life. That is their lifeblood. That is their passion. Let's make the company as best as it can be, That's a small portion of the population. So why am I talking about this? Well, I'm referring to the people who clean movie theaters. And same thing, the people who clean the airplanes. People don't care enough about their jobs to pay attention to the fine details. Have you ever walked into a movie theater and in your cup holder, there's like maybe a little bit of trash still stuck in your cup holder? When you walk into a movie theater and the floor is still sticky because somebody spilled their soda? Yeah, there's people that go in and clean the movie theaters, but not that well, you guys. Not that well. So even though the theaters have implemented new cleaning procedures, I don't trust people to provide me with a safe environment in that regard. I don't believe that the seats are as clean as they would like to think that they are. Okay, granted, yeah, they have this fogger machine that they go through and they fog everything down. And if used properly, it worked great. I just don't think that people use that thing properly. So what do I think that movie theaters would have to change to get people into seats? First of all, when you say you're changing the cleaning experience, get people to care about their jobs across the board. The people who work in movie theaters, increase their pay, increase their status, increase their benefits, increase the level of trust and stuff like that. Make them feel special. Make them feel that you care about them as an employee. Because if you don't take care of your employees will not take care of your customers. That's how it works. So the theaters need to get their employees to care about their jobs in like a real way. Maybe it's not just a job anymore. Maybe working in a movie theater is a career choice. Maybe, okay, granted, you still have to clean the theater. Nobody wants to be the janitor of a movie theater. But if this is the direction that we're headed in terms of, fewer and fewer people going back to the movies, you need to get people invested in going back to the theaters. And the way you do that is make them feel safe, make them feel comfortable. So if you get the people who work in a movie theater to clean the movie theater, don't just, hey, we're going to put up a flyer and say, hey, it's certified clean. Go to a hotel room. I guarantee you, there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned and sanitized in a hotel. I spend about a half hour whenever I have to stay overnight, whenever I'm working as a flight attendant, I have to stay overnight in a different city. I bring all my own cleaning materials. I clean everything. I don't trust people to do their jobs properly. Maybe that's on me. But I would also venture a guess that that's probably also many other people. So that would be my answer. The general public needs to know that they are safe going back to the movie theaters. And how do we do that? Get the employees to care about their jobs, to actually genuinely clean and genuinely enforce mask wearing. And this is just in a COVID world. Outside of a COVID world, like once the pandemic is over, I do think that people are definitely going to be more prone to going back to the theaters after you have like the pioneers going back to the theater and say, hey, it's safe. Like, it's okay. We can do this safely, and together we can do it. So it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while, but it'll happen. And our last comment of the day comes from Mr. Matthew Wiles. And Matthew says, Mike, I reckon you will be like Frank from Last Action Hero. If you owned your own theater, you will be the guy trying to keep cinema alive and not willing to update. Possibly. Especially if I'm a ghost. I won't have the means to update my theater. But yeah, that's... I don't know. It's always been a dream of mine to own my own comedy theater. And with my love of movies and cinema, I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll own my own movie theater someday. If they become a niche thing, and that's a thing, I think, and I hate the word niche. Oh my dear heavens. Makes me sound so pretentious. Anyone who uses the word niche, you sound pretentious. And I'm throwing myself into this bucket. Movie theaters will become a niche thing. Niche quotations. The movie theaters at some point will become a niche thing, just like vinyl, like what we're talking about all the way at the beginning. Movie theaters will become a niche market because people can consume the vast majority of their media at home. Just the same way that, tape collecting or VHS collecting or vinyl collecting, like, you have your collectors, and it's still, like, there are still record stores. They're all niche record stores. They're all indie record stores. They're independently owned and operated. People who've gone out and collected this stuff and now have opened a store, they can sell it and keep this industry, if you can call it an industry, keep this idea alive. Movie theaters will be the same way. You're going to get indie movie theaters. And there may actually be, in the next 10 years, there may be a resurgence of independent movie theater chains. Maybe not chains, but independent movie theaters. Who knows what's going to happen to Alamo Drafthouse? Who knows what's going to happen to AMC, Regal, Cinemark, Landmark, Carmike? You name it. These movie theaters are slowly going to start going away. They won't die out completely. They won't completely go away because, like I said, we're social creatures. We need that group experience. But the landscape has drastically changed. Oh, look at this. Matthew Wiles comments a little bit more. He says, I would crowdfund you, mate. Well, thank you. I would gladly accept your help. I hate you. Oh, your next comment. I would get John Boyega to speak on your behalf. You know what? If John Boyega were to publicly endorse my endeavors of opening my own movie theater, I would accept. Sir. Yeah. Anyway, so guys, we have droned on for about an hour and a half now. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for being part of the conversation. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles would want you to do. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.